I mean, the Heat who are struggling have 10 wins on the road. You can't win deep in the playoffs if you're not winning on the road. That's very concerning. And it's so almost embarrassing to have 6 wins and it's January. And that's the only time we're going to talk about the Washington Wizards. So that's all they get.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And on this Wind Up Wednesday edition in segment one, we're going to talk about the NBA. And there's a lot going on with that. Our main story of the week for the NBA is possibly expanding into Europe. In segment two, we're going to talk all things men's college basketball. And we're going to start talking about conference play and how your favorite teams may or may not make the tournament. And we will do the same thing in segment three because we're about to take what is called the second loop. And that means when you play everybody again, and this is when the feelings start to become hurt. But first, Eastern Conference, Cleveland, Boston, Knicks, Bucks, Pacers, Pistons. And on the outside looking in, the Orlando Magic, the Atlanta Hawks, the Miami Heat, and the Chicago Bulls. With us this week, Coach Alfred Johnson. Coach, man, you told us about the Pistons, and they're still one of the hottest teams in the league. Any thoughts on the Eastern Conference this week, sir?
Well, it's truly a good conference. I like the Pistons' youngness. Um, they have a nice core. I still think they're missing a couple players, veterans, but they got a nice core, man. They're doing a great job over there. It's a good conference. Last night, Cleveland lost one to Houston, which was a very good game. But it's a good conference. It's going to be tough. I don't think right now my Sixers are going to be in the mix. But the rest of the teams, they're doing a great job. It's a very good competitive conference.
All right, Will Cotton, Captain for Life. Any thoughts on the East this week, sir?
Just two really things to think about. The top four Bucks, surprisingly, they're 8-11 on the road. And and if you think about things, if you look at the top three, Cleveland, Celtics, and the Knicks, they're above 15 wins on the road. I think the Celtics are 17 wins on the road. Cleveland are 15 on the road, and the Knicks are 15 on the road. You can't win in the playoffs if you're not winning on the road. Yeah, it's just impossible. You have less winning. You have less winning in the last 20 games. You have less games that you've won on the road than the Pistons by 5. The Pistons have 13 wins on the road. I mean, the Heat who are struggling have 10 wins on the road. You can't win deep in the playoffs if you're not winning on the road. That's very concerning. And it's so almost embarrassing to have 6 wins and it's January. And that's the only time we're going to talk about the Washington Wizards. So that's all they get. That's all they get.
All right, Robert, any thoughts on the East this week, sir?
Just Pat Riley, it's time to pull the plug, man. Just rip the Band-Aid off, get what you can for him, and move on. The whole Jimmy Butler thing, I had an old high school football coach who used to call that pissing into the wind. And that's what they're doing right now with Jimmy Butler. Just move on, man.
All right. In the Western Conference, OKC, Houston, Memphis, Denver. The Lakers are 5, folks. We might have to talk about them. Clippers are 6. Outside looking in, Dallas, Minnesota, Sacramento. I guess was Mike Brown. I don't know. And Phoenix. Coach Johnson, any thoughts on the West, sir?
The West is truly a great conference. The play is, I don't want to say even, but your top teams with OKC, Houston, a few others. It's just a great conference. I think still it's a 2-man MVP race, the Joker and SGA. It's just a good conference. I'm not big on Phoenix at all. I love what Memphis is doing since Jai's back. Houston has been a tremendous surprise. And they shouldn't be because of how they finished and played last year. But one of the best things about Houston, they absolutely have a guy that can coach them. He's doing a great job coaching them young fellas up. And they're paying attention. They're playing hard. I like the West. I like the West as a conference better than the East, although the East, the teams are doing super, but the West really, I see the champion coming out of the West this year.
Okay. Cotton Man, any thoughts on the West, sir?
Young legs run free, man. So, the top three, very young.
Yes.
Very young. Memphis is on a run. They're on like a winning streak, about 6 games right now. So they're on fire right now. Everyone's healthy, which is great because that's kind of the biggest thing for Memphis the last couple of years is Ja has been injured. Bane has been injured. Triple J has been injured. Those guys have been hurt. Now they're healthy and they're playing. They got Edie back. That guy I think he had 19 and 7 last night. I mean, if that's the guy coming, if that guy's averaging 19 and 7, watch out for Memphis. Watch out for Memphis. They're going to be tough. I expected Minnesota to be in that top 6. Even with the Julius Randle trade, I thought they could be better enough to be in the top 6. It's good to see Kawhi playing again. I think I saw him. I think I saw him in a jersey. Actually, let me retract that. And one more thing, I love Wemby. I love his skill set. I love what he brings to the game. Something needs to happen with either Spurs, with the team around him, or something, because this kid needs to be in the playoffs. He can't be year 2 and he's not even in the play-in. That's kind of concerning of me. Because that's the next step for him. They're just so young, but at the same time, I'm not upset yet. Not yet. But I got my eye on him. But he's playing amazing.
All right, go ahead.
That's it. No, that's it. Everything was looking good. And Lakers, surprisingly, in 5, the only thing is going to now is going to be loud about who we're going to get. Are we going to trade for somebody? So it's the annual who is going to give an all-star for nothing to the Lakers.
All right, Robert, anything in the West that catch your eye?
I'm not talking about the Lakers, although I suppose I just did, but I'm not talking about them. SGA for MVP. If Zach Edey and Jay Morant figure out how to play together, Memphis is going to be an even bigger problem than they already are, because holy cow,
you can't guard that guy.
No,
he just got to get down the court.
No, you can teach guys a lot of things. You cannot teach people to be 7 feet 4 inches tall.
You're right about that.
There is no drill for being that big.
There ain't nothing you can do. And last on Wemby, I think Wemby's great. I love watching him. I think part of what Will's talking about, I think part of that has to come from him. I just think he's got to decide he's going to be the man, and I don't think he's there yet. I think he's too young for that. I think when he figures that out, kind of like Giannis did, that's going to be a totally different thing.
Watch out.
Okay. All right. Our story of the week: expanding your territory. Now, I am a wrestling historian, and in 1984, Vince McMahon, who may be a reprehensible human being, but as a businessman, oh my goodness, he started buying up territories to do national expansion. The NBA has tapped out in North America. There is not much more they can get financially. So now, speaking on European soil last week, in the midst of a week-long celebration, we had some games in France with Indiana and San Antonio. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, made it clear that he has serious interest in an American-led invasion of the continent of Europe's basketball business. For the past year, the NBA has been investigating the concept of starting a new standalone European league separate from the NBA. And in commentary, Adam Silver made it clear that he believes the current top league, the 18-team Euro League, is leaving money and growth on the table, and the NBA is seeking that opportunity. Robert, okay, you're my administrator. This has come across your desk. What do you think? Can the NBA have a standalone league in Europe and compete against the Euro League? Because there's players everywhere, and it seems the money is growing.
Well, they can. It would make way more sense for the NBA to leverage the gazillion dollars they have, maybe buy into that Euro League and kind of take the league over. That would make a lot more sense. But it probably won't be that easy. I could see the NBA trying to run some kind of standalone league in Europe, and eventually there be some kind of assimilation of the Euro League. I could see that for sure. Before they do that, they need to bring back the Sonics. I don't want to talk about anything else until we bring back the Sonics, okay? And you got to pick another team. You got to put another team somewhere because you got to have 32. You got to have an even number, okay? Yeah, you want to put it in Vegas, fine. You want to put it in,
No, it's going in Vegas.
Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, you want to put it in Tampa. You want to. I don't care. I don't care where you put it. Okay, but you got to put another team somewhere. But bring back the Sonics. What are we doing?
Okay. All right, Coach Johnson. I know you've done some work with the Sixers. You have an NBA perspective in your career. Any thoughts about the standalone proposed European League? What do you think?
I'm not in favor of it. I just not, and I'm not when you're talking about the NBA. I think I think the model's fine where it's at in terms of the NBA. If you're talking about a league in Europe, I can't see the connection to that with the NBA. That's just me. I'm old. I just think the NBA is what it is itself.
All right. So Will Cotton, of course, I know your thoughts on why partner when you don't have to share. Well, what do you think about a standalone European league?
Business wise, I understand it. You can't leave money on the floor. There's available money out there. But as a fan, I'm not watching. I mean, I'm not watching.
It's not for you to watch.
You're not watching. I mean, but that's how you grow the game. The game goes through the NBA. The NBA goes through America. If we're not watching, it's not going to. Because Luka was playing. Nobody knew Luka was playing when he was hot. Nobody knew about Victor Wembanyama. Well, before then, hey, you could watch his games. They were available. I'm like Coach Johnson. I'm not watching it. I'm just not watching it. I mean, you can try and fool me and say that, we're doing a European joint, but even the best players in Europe are going to be like, I'm going. I'm gonna go to the NBA where they're making the real NBA, where they're making the real money.
Let's be honest. I mean, we're just now getting to the time of year where I might accidentally turn an NBA game on.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're just getting through football. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I'll watch Wednesday, the Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN. Sure. Just
nobody's turning on a 9 a.m. UK Euro game. I ain't doing it.
It's just now starting to get interesting.
Exactly.
I'm not watching the Euro League in November.
Never.
Right.
No way.
Never.
No way.
Never. And never for a really long time.
I barely get up for the 9 a.m. NFL games.
So let me throw this at you. The NBA has cornered the North American market and we can't expand. And again, I'm using wrestling references. So they have the Basketball Africa League. So they have something formally in Africa. And you don't have to share the money with the Euro League. So if you can create a European league now, similar to baseball, similar to soccer, you have your A division, your B division and your C division, and all the money funnels into you. And even the Royal Rumble next year, which is a bucket list event of mine, it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I'm not going to be able to go. So now, Robert, I try to do this every week, and you still give me the deadpan look. I didn't convince you, did I?
No,
Right.
No.
not gonna happen.
Because even the biggest players, like the biggest, like Olympiacos and all the other teams that make millions of dollars, why would I join the Why would I join the NBA Euro League and share money? I just do whatever I'm doing. I'm making money. I got the best players I need. I win championship after championship. What benefits me to go into the NBA or the Euro League and then say, oh, nobody's going to watch? So they're not going to really funnel any money out there. So at the NBA, it's like, well, we're going to pay all these good teams to play in this Euro League. Nobody's going to watch. Those teams will make money because I'm paying them, and they're going to have their standard fans. The NBA is not going to make any money. No one's going to be like, oh, man, I got to wake up at 8:30 watch Olympiacos. Oh, man, I got to wake up at 9 o'clock to watch, dude, the best thing I will say, the best thing is fans our age will see a lot of players that we saw in college and younger, that maybe phased out or in the NBA. We get to see them play and actually play very well. You see Kemba. You can go see Kemba. You see Kemba right now playing very well, dropping 30. If that's what you like, you turn on 9 a.m. You can see him killing.
All right. And I bet you Shaq could have gone. All right. With that being said, fans, in segment 2, we're going to hurt a lot of feelings because we're going to talk about teams that are not going to make the NCAA tournament, and you're going to watch it happen over the next month. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, and in segment 2, let's get to the net ranking. Auburn is 1, Duke is 2, Houston's 3, not for long. Tennessee is 4, and Iowa State is 5. Those will change next week. Top mid-majors, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, Utah State, Memphis, and UC Irvine. Teams to watch. Robert, watch Texas A&M for us this week, and Northwestern. They're getting it in, but our story of the week is conference play. So the SEC is number 1 as a conference in net rankings. The Big Ten is 2. The Big 12 is 3. The Big East is 4. And the Atlantic Coast Conference is 5. And it is projected that we're going to get 12 SEC teams in the NCAA tournament and 10 Big Ten teams in the NCAA tournament, 9 Big 12 teams, 6 Atlantic Coast Conference teams, and 4 Big East teams, and ain't but 68 slots. So, fellas, as we are going through conference seasons, a lot of these conferences are 1, possibly 2 bid leagues. They're not going to be able to churn up their net ranking. So how they did in their non-conference games in November and December is going to weigh heavily as now the big teams are feasting on each other. Coach Johnson, you've been in D1. You've been in a 1-bid conference. Any thoughts as we take the second loop and we're starting to jockey for positions? What are your thoughts, sir?
In terms of, it's been a lot of good play, but again, the leagues with 1 bid, All right. That's always interesting to me because that's a lot. It's a lot in terms of I've always felt convincing a young man to come play for you, knowing there's only one team that's going to the conference, going to the championship. That's one of the reasons I really like Division II, because you can get other teams getting a bid without winning the conference championships. But the play across the country's been good. I've been very surprised by a whole lot of teams. One team I've been surprised by, and I don't know why, but I really enjoy watching St. John's. I really enjoy watching St. John's. Patino's doing one hell of a job there. I shouldn't be surprised. I saw yesterday where they was talking about the SEC may have as many as 12 teams. Excuse me.
So, Will, what do you think about the overabundance of SEC teams possibly in the tournament? Is this going to be a heel turn nationally? What are you thinking?
The SEC, every now and again they have years where they have a lot of teams in the tournament because they just have so many athletes on so many teams and so many money. It's not crazy to say, okay, you're going to have 4 or 5 teams in the tournament. Doesn't mean that they're the best teams in the tournament, which is good. But I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I'm biased, man. So I'm looking at St. John's and I'm like, man, it doesn't matter. As long as St. John's get in, we are rocking. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think if you're SEC and you love it and you're a football guy, it's like, hey, it's an easy way to bring somebody in. If you're an SEC football guy, it's like, why should I care about football? We have 5 or 6 teams in the tournament, man. We're good. So I get it, but is that what it is though? Is viewership based on SC teams getting into tournaments, getting into playoffs? Does that show that we actually
it's March Madness. Everybody's going to watch March Madness. But Robert, we're looking at the projections, and they're early projections. It's almost February, but man, it looks like it's going to be a lot of mediocre, middle of the road power conference teams in, and not some of these other teams that may have an opportunity. What are you thinking about the early projections?
Well, you told me to keep an eye on Texas A&M. We're taping on Sunday, and yesterday Texas A&M was at Texas, so a lot of feelings for that game. And A&M gave back a 22-point lead and lost. Right? Which, I mean, that happens in rivalry games. But, Texas, week and a half ago, was winless in the SEC, and now they've won 3 in a row. So, their tournament, their tournament projection looks a lot better. I also watched Auburn and Tennessee yesterday.
I'm sorry.
That was a literal rock fight. I mean, they're literally throwing rocks at each other. It was.
I thought when you shoot, it was supposed to go in, but I guess they didn't get the memo.
I mean, there was that, and I mean, I mean, you're talking about high-level athletes on a small space. I thought it was way too physical. But nobody wants to watch 60 free throws either. So I don't know. I don't know what they do with that. But what all of that means is that you're going to have teams like, Utah State and New Mexico are tied at the top of the Mountain West Conference. Okay. They each have 1 loss in conference. They haven't played yet, I don't think. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that's going to come up soon as we're about to make the loop.
But they each have 1 loss in conference. Neither of them has any margin for error. A bad loss, like New Mexico lost 2 weeks ago to San Jose State. It's a road loss, but it's still a bad loss. And you can't lose games like that and expect to get into the NCAA tournament if 12 SEC teams are going to get in. So a lot of these, these mid-majors, Gonzaga, St. Mary's will probably get in, but if you're the 3rd team in that conference, you're probably not getting in. Irvine might be winning the Big West, but if they don't win the conference, win the regular season, and win the tournament, they're not getting in. You know?
Yeah, and again, that was said tongue in cheek. The SEC, in terms of their non-conference games, they went on a tear across the country, and now they're going to be the beneficiaries of the teams that they beat in non-conference, doing very well in conference, and that's going to rise up their net rankings. So we're giving you the heads up, fans. Look for a lot of SEC, look for a lot of Big Ten, and also look for a lot of Big 12 teams in terms of the tournament.
Excuse me. TCU is, I love TCU. I'm a fan of them. They are a mediocre Big 12 team this year, but they're going to get in because of their conference, and they'll be 7th or 8th in the conference, and they'll get in, and they'll be 8, 9, 10 seed. And because they can defend, they'll give somebody some trouble. But there's going to be a lot of teams like that in.
Yeah. So, fans, when we get back in segment 3, we're going to do the same thing with the women's game, and it's going to be even worse. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. Let's get to the women's game. Great games, by the way, this week. South Carolina's 1, big win over LSU. Texas is 2, UConn is 3, UCLA is 4, and USC is 5. Mid-majors.
Thank you. Finally. Thank you.
Net rankings,
2
baby.
years to get USC in this net ranking top 5. It's taking forever. She's the best player. Come on, let's go.
Okay. All right, mid-majors, and good luck getting into the tournament. Richmond, Harvard, South Dakota State, Fairfield. Check out Fairfield and UNLV. Teams to watch this week. Watch Michigan State. Watch Iowa post Caitlin Clark. Iowa State's getting back into it, and UNLV. But the story of the week, in the early 90s, WCW World Championship Wrestling had a slogan that said, "This is where the big boys play." Well, the Big Ten and the SEC are where the big girls play. The Big Ten and the SEC are dominating this year. They are quite frankly dominating. Selection Sunday is just under 2 months away. The Big Ten is projected to have 12 teams in. The SEC is projected to have 10 teams in. And the ACC is projected to have 9 teams in. So right there, you have hogged up a lot of real estate. So if you are anybody else, good luck getting in. So let me explain to you the net rankings again before we give it to our panel. So quad 1 wins. If you're a home team and you beat a team ranked 1 to 25, neutral team ranked 1 to 35, road team ranked 1 to 45. Quad 2, you're ranked 26 to 55 at home, 36 to 65 on the in the neutral site, and on the road 46 to 80. Quad 3, 56 to 90 at home if that's your ranking. Neutral site, and not a lot of neutral sites anymore, 66 to 105, and on the road 81 to 130. And finally, quad 4, anybody at home that you beat rank 91 or above, anybody on a neutral site rank 106 or above, and anybody you beat on the road rank 131 and above. So we're educators. Here's the answer to the tests for both the men's and the women's team. Teams want to win as many quad 1 and quad 2 games as possible while avoiding losses to quad 3 and quad 4. If your team can do that, then you've got a better chance at dancing. So with that being said, Robert, on the women's side, it is top heavy. Any thoughts as we march towards the second round of games in conference play? Mute, sir. That's the first time in 3 years we said that.
No, very, very top heavy. I mean, South Carolina, LSU, UCLA, USC, Texas. You didn't even talk about Notre Dame, UConn. I mean, those teams. I mean, you can just. You can't sit because there's no bracket. But if you were going to say which teams are going to be in the Elite Eight, well, we'll start with those, and then we'll go.
Right.
That being said, again, just like in the men's, if you are a good women's team, if you are South Dakota State, you better win your conference.
Yes.
Because if you don't win your conference, and if you don't win the regular season and the conference tournament, you are not getting in.
They're shutting you down. Coach Johnson, any thoughts, man? We gave you the formula to win, folks. What do you think about this, sir?
I love the top 25 teams. I do because I'm telling you, it's some fun basketball right now to watch in the women's game. You have a handful of your top 10 teams that could actually play with some of the lower level men teams. I'm just huge in terms of the women's game. I agree. If you don't win your conference, you got a problem. You got a problem. And I think right now, personally, that the Elite Eight, actually, you can write down a day, and come that time, there'll be the teams there. I'm still favoring South Carolina to win it all after I saw them against LSU. But again, I'm just impressed with a lot of the other teams. This is a good time for women's basketball.
Yeah, well, it's so top heavy when you really take the time to look at who possibly could get in. We just mentioned close to 30 teams and ain't but 64, 68 going, and half the field is already kind of locked in. What are you thinking about the women's game?
Oh man, right now they're just jockeying for position right now. Everyone's balling. I think everybody has a dog or two dogs that are making it really, really interesting in a lot of their teams. Unfortunately, there was one of the teams that I thought was going to be in at least the top 25, but they haven't been winning that much. Is Iowa State and Audie Crooks. She is a dog, and she is now starting to get rolling. I mean, beginning of the season, she was allowed 16 points and 4 rebounds and 17 and 11 rounds. Now she's getting like 30 and 12, 21 and 10. 22 and 6, 33 and 7, 29 and 8. So she's rolling. She's rolling though. And she's one of the better players in the women's game. So I hope they can roll it and actually get into it. But it's so competitive. It's so competitive.
It really is.
I just hope that she can catch up because she is a real special player and people should be able to see her skill set. If you were very impressed with Peely from last year, trust me, this is like Peely times 2. She's bigger, stronger. She's lost some weight, so she's a lot faster. That's one thing I gotta say. I hope Ohio State can catch on a run. They need him in the tournament, but it's so competitive. So competitive.
So at the moment, there's only 37 at-large bids, as Robert and I mentioned. 34 of them are projected to go to just 4 conferences: the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12. The Big East is projected to have 3. And believe it or not, fans, the Ivy League is supposed to have 2 because they have 2 really dominant teams. But again, that's just a lot. So as we close, the answers to the test: win quad 1 and quad 2 games. And if you're in these big conferences, you're going to have that opportunity. And if you're not in those big conferences, you're not going to have the opportunity. So you have to avoid losing to quad 3 and quad 4 teams. So as a coach, Coach Johnson, how do you coach this when you're South Dakota State, who you know you're good, and you're playing on some Wednesday night against like the 8th ranked team in your conference, and your team is just not going. What are you saying to them? Because these are the rules to the test. And if you fail, don't come crying in March, because we ain't gonna want to hear about it. How are you coaching this right now?
Well, real simple. You just got to tell your team that this is each game one at a time. What's at stake? Therefore, we got to take care of our bodies. We got to get rest. We have to be mentally prepared. Forget about it because it's on the road, because it's on a Wednesday. All that doesn't matter. We got to lace them up, get after it. Let's bring home a W.
Okay. Will Cotton, you played a 5:15 game in front of nobody and a long bus ride. You see what's at stake for the women's game. What are you saying as a player to each other? Because your margin for error is no margin.
I think I think back in the day, and it's crazy that I remember, 20 years ago, he told me this, coach, is routine. Stick to your routine. If you eat this meal on game day, if you listen to this song, try and keep the routine going, keep the business going. Don't get too high, too low. Keep your emotions kind of settled in the even. But that's one of the things I always took from you, coach. Is it's business. It's a business trip. Same thing you're doing. Routine. Get here 8:00, so that it might be different. In November, but January, it's like, oh yeah, I show up 8:00. We're here. Let's start. Let's go on. Things that you happen, so that when things happen, whether it's bad weather or the flu system going around in locker rooms, things like that, this kind of stuff will keep you going and not let you fall into all the nonsense, and you can keep going. And also temper your energy. Like Coach Johnson said, you don't want to peak right now. You should be steadily peaking, and at the right time, coach, like you said, then you peak, and then you ride that wave to the championship as best you can. So the best thing I would say, coach, is, like you said, routine and just balancing what's going on, the energy in your team, and do it for your own teammates. They should there's really nothing we should be talking about other than just get your rest. Or did you eat? How much did you eat yet? There should be no surprises. We should be moving forward. So I speak to that, coach. You kind of let us know early, and I hope that you're teaching other coaches to know that as well. So
appreciate that. And Robert, your administrator, your coaches are under a lot of stress. Your players are under a lot of stress. You can't lose. How are you providing counsel, sir?
I think one of the things that's important is when you talk to, when I talk to coaches in that situation, I'm like, what can I do to help you? How can I help you? And and it can be as simple as making sure that they don't have to look around, they don't have to make extra accommodations for meal money or hotels or travel or anything like that. That all of that is taken care of them, so that when it's time for them to get on the bus or get on the plane, all that stuff's already set. And the D1 programs, they have directors of basketball operations. So making sure that guy or girl, whoever that is, making sure that they have what they need to provide support to the teams. And also, because we're not in it on the day-to-day, making sure that the coaches know, hey, keep it here. Don't get here. Keep it right here. And if you do that, you show your players that you're not panicking, they're not going to panic, because they're going to watch you. They're going to look to you, and they're going to look to you for guidance. And if they see that you're like, hey, we're good, we got to play better, but we're good, that'll help a lot.
All right.
And coach, I think the one thing that you also have a player who can talk to the coach and get the temperature of what's going on. It's very important. And coach, you always tell me that have a player that you can speak to and talk to and confide to and say, hey, what's the environment going on with the team? How are you guys feeling? What do you need from me? Like Robert says, like, how can I support you? To have a player that you can communicate back and forth and relay, like, hey guys, so-and-so is kind of a little bit, whatever, or things are going on between so-and-so behind your back, you know what I'm saying? Very important. For communication should flow freely through the team is key and crucial as you get through those long stretch of, especially in the winter, those long stretch, and it's beyond just basketball. Hey man, so-and-so broke up with his girlfriend, man. He's taking it pretty hard. Oh, so-and-so's mom is sick, so they're calling and they're asking for this, and the brother and sister are asking for money and this and like that. You should be very aware of things going on, even personal, for your team and your players. So very key, like you said, coach, is have that ear and have that voice in the locker room that's saying, hey, coach, somebody's not right. Somebody's not 100. It could be basketball, it could be non-basketball, and that's important that relationships are connected.
Do I need to light somebody up? Do I need to give somebody a hug? What do we need?
All true. And for me to wrap up, this is the best and worst part of basketball season. So for all teams, we've just made the semester switch. So whatever you did or didn't do academically first semester, we've dealt with it. The light thing is real. You often do not see sunlight this time of year because you got early morning workouts, you're in a building for classes, you're this, that, and the other. So just seeing sunshine, not going to happen. You're physically tired. You've been going at this, some of you, way too much in the off season, but that's another fight for another day. So your rest right now is premium, and it's one possession at a time. Let's have a good practice and just focus on practice. And then let's have a good game, because if we do these things on a regular basis, the way we prepare is going to be better than everyone else, because our coaches are working hard, our players are working hard, our managers, our managers are working hard. Everybody in the organization is working hard. So for Robert as admin to come in with support, that's where it is, because half these teams across the country, they've already checked out because they're not going to win, and the coach is worried about this, that, and the other. So if you're one of these teams in a position that you can make a run, make that run. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.